dominating the headlines once again. More reaction to the shocking Southport murders. Now, the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, has called Axel Ruda-Cabana the two-click killer after it's discovered that he purchased the murder weapon online on Amazon illegally when he was just 17 years old. The government has now announced plans for two-step verification to stop under-18s bypassing online checks when they're buying knives. Do you think that will help, Kelly?
Before we get to that, I just want to say I'm really disappointed in Keir Starmer. I just think a headline or a strap line, should I say, like two-click killer, firstly is belittling what those parents are having to experience. There's a loss of 3 children here, and it's kind of undermining the severity of what's happened. It's almost like clickbaity in terms of its title. I think that
it's soundbitey, isn't it?
Very sound.
Yes, for a track.
Exactly, exactly. And as Judy was saying, could quite easily be picked up as a lyric for a song.
Yeah.
I just think it's irresponsible, and it's disappointing. For me, it's disappointing. We're dealing with such a serious epidemic of knife crime. This is not a new thing. We've been dealing with, you know, we go back to cases like Dan Malone Taylor and Ben Kinsella, and previous governments haven't been able to get a hold of it. But I think coming out with your first kind of announcement about what you're going to do and using that as a strapline is just irresponsible.
Judy, Judy, you were agreeing there that you don't like the two-click killer.
Yeah, do you know what? I've got to be really honest with you, when you asked the question and you was talking about it, there's so much things that's coming up in my mind at what to talk about. And if I'm honest, I'm just so tired of having the same conversation. I'm so tired of seeing these mums and dads and grandparents crying. I'm so tired of the media, the same stories, and actually nothing being done. I don't know about you guys, but I'm exhausted as a parent, as a member of the community and society. It's just so heartbreaking every time. No matter what the circumstances, heartbreaking. I think to myself, you know, I think about when I used to work in, you know, social care and youth offending, and, you know, just being bombarded with the amount of caseloads, because the issue is, yes, you can go online and buy knives, but let's look at the bigger picture. Not every kid is going online. There's somewhere else where they're getting these big, massive knives from, and having this new initiative or investigation is not going to completely dismiss the other area. We are in a pandemic when it comes to knife crime.
It would be a start, though, Judy, wouldn't it? To say, you know, he was saying that he was able to buy knives with no checks. It was more than one knife, with no age check.
Yeah.
So if they did bring them this two-step verification process, they would have to have a digital scan of a passport or a driving licence, also a live selfie video so that you could verify that the buyer is the person with that ID.
And I suppose that is good, and it can localise if you are getting these incidents happening in different areas with different kind of knives, so you can be able to, for the police to be able to look and think, OK, it's happening here a bit more often. But, you know, I think everyone is at a stage of such desperation, which to a certain extent is also dividing us as a community and society, and we just want something to be done. I know Labour has only been in power for so long, and the Conservatives in power for so long, but we're at a stage now where this is not a localised issue.
Sometimes you think, should it be cross-party? You know, should everybody... you know, all the parties of every colour be sitting down and saying, we have got a massive problem here with our young people.
Yeah, because caseloads can't be managed. Like I was saying, when I was working in social care, if you've got a caseload and it's above what it should be, and you've got 16 children in there, but you've got, you know, 40... How are you supposed to, in your days, be able to manage everybody? Because some of the kids in this situation have been let down, but most importantly, those kids who are losing their life of the ones that's been let down.
We were saying, Judy, we were here, Kelly and I were here yesterday, Sal, and we were saying that where has it gone wrong? So we were looking at a photograph of Axel Ruda-Cabana when he was a young schoolboy. He looked innocent, like every other lovely young 7, 8-year-old. And then the picture that they had on the front of many of the newspapers yesterday, where they were calling him evil and the devil, and what happened to that boy? And if you could fix it, Judy, if money was no object, like where do... I think
that's a big question to ask me.
But well, having worked in social service, like, because we all hear, like, well, what were social services doing? There were all these different agencies, you know.
It's so hard because I suppose, you know, there's that emotional connection of being a parent, no one doesn't know exactly what to do, but we are reaching out to the ones that we feel should know what to do because they run this country. Yeah, we are saying we are at desperate times. What can we do? What can we do as community leaders? What can we do as parents?
And what would you do if I put you in charge and say, OK, I'm going to sit you in front and get your team together? Like, where do you start?
I think funding.
Is it social?
Yeah, I think funding,
youth clubs,
frontline, youth clubs, becoming mental health, because they're saying this is a mental health issues. You're going into hospitals and there's no beds for mental health patients. So we need to start. We can actually see the changes happen within a certain amount of age. What were those areas that was not being helped? You know, there's a lot of attacks sometimes on social care, but what they're dealing with, they're actually dealing with managing people's lives. And then they're managing their lives on a lower income. We need to come together as a community, find funding in areas where we can support children from a young age and the parents. This is not just the young people, it's the parents that need the support. Yeah. And then you look at the wider spread, like poverty and gun crime and knife crime and gang crime.
But it seems such a huge problem now, Sally, doesn't it?
What's worse, that's a huge problem, or us not dealing with it.
Where on earth do you start?
I think the lack of funding over the years and all these social things have been cut, like the youth clubs. When I was a kid, you could go to a youth club on a Saturday afternoon. There's nowhere for kids to go now. If you... Mental health, I've heard that CAMHS is very, very difficult to get. The waiting list is so long. Well, that's wrong. I mean, all these things need to be funded, and they need to be funded ASAP, or else it's just going to get worse.
And that's where we'd start.
I mean... Some people are calling for all knives to be banned. You can't buy a knife online at all, Kelly. Do you think just by banning buying knives on any platform?
I think there are social economic issues that also raise their heads, which then sometimes shift young people from the straight and narrow to a different path. Absence fathers that can have a massive impact on young individuals. If there's no headship within the family, or there's a breakdown within the family community or network, and then they can get groomed to go down the wrong direction. I mean, gangs and that kind of sense of belonging, which a lot of young people are looking for, if that is missing in some way, shape or form, they will look for it elsewhere. And even if they're a vulnerable individual you know, those gangs know that person's a vulnerable individual. Maybe they've just had a loss of a family member, and then that person becomes vulnerable. Then they're outside establishments, and I call them establishments because they're very well-run businesses, even though they're illegal, they're very well-run businesses who have an eye on that person, and then they groom them and make them feel like they have a sense of belonging, even though it is an illegal practice. So it's that sense of belonging that they're actually looking for. They've got nowhere else to go.
Judy, do you think it comes down to there is a lot of it's about poverty as well, helping people out of poverty?
If I'll be honest with you, I think we've gone past even putting it into one area. Everybody, there's an issue across board. Young people across board, whether you're working class, middle class, on a estate, in a big 4-point whatever house, there is an issue with the young people. It's like we were saying, there's a culture right now with it, and it needs to be stamped up. Don't sit in your house thinking, oh, my kid's all right, because where I live, or you've got both parents. It's everybody.
I do just have to say, because we were talking about, you know, that Axel Ruda bought the knife on Amazon. Amazon have sent us this. We take our responsibility around the sale of all age-restricted items, including bladed products, extremely seriously, and have launched an urgent investigation in relation to this tragic case. Its spokesman said ID checks are made whenever an order is placed and when its drivers hand over a parcel containing an age-restricted item. They added the product in question was subject to age verification checks on delivery. I just have to read that. I'm sure this won't be the last time we discuss this because, as you said, Judy, this is a huge problem and it seems just to be getting bigger and bigger and worse all the time. Let's just see if all the promises and new strategies that the government say they're now going to put in place actually come to fruition.